All right, grab a seat. It's your favorite uncle, Uncle Bob, back again. And for this episode of Books I Will Never Read Again, we are diving headfirst into a real piece of work, Ecce Homo, by Friedrich Nietzsche. This isn't so much an autobiography as it is a love letter from Nietzsche to himself. I guess he figured the rest of us were too dim to appreciate his genius, so he wrote a whole book explaining it to us. So let's get into this masterclass in, well, not modesty, that's for sure.
So the book kicks off with this little command. Hear me, for I am such and such. Above all, do not mistake me for someone else. It's less of a friendly hello and more like a warning label on a crate of unstable dynamite. He's basically telling you, pay attention, idiots, genius at work. And you know what? Right out of the gate, I just want to say, don't you worry, Freddy boy. We won't mistake you for someone else. It's kind of hard to mistake this level of self-regard for anything other than, say, a lobotomized coat rack. Maybe a sentient cheese grater with an ego problem. But a regular person? No way.
So where does a genius of this magnitude even begin his own story? Well, before he can tell you why his books are brilliant, he's got to explain why he is brilliant. And the secret, apparently, is his lifestyle choices. Yeah. It turns out the whole Übermensch thing, his grand idea for the future of humanity, is basically built on complaining about the food and the weather. He was the original punk-ass nerd influencer.
So what's the first great evil he has to conquer? What's the root of all the problems in 19th century Europe? German cooking. I'm not kidding. This knuckle-dragger genuinely believed his entire country was going down the drain because of their dinner menu.
And here's his list of cultural crimes. Soup, served before the meal. Can you imagine the absolute horror? Overcooked meat, greasy vegetables, and pastries heavy enough to be used as paperweights. It's a culinary disaster. You can just picture him at a family dinner, staring at his plate and weeping for the future of civilization.
And this right here, is his whole grand theory. German intellect is indigestion. Bad food leads to bad thoughts. So all those other German philosophers, all their big ideas, just a bad case of gas. Finally, a philosophy I can get behind.
Oh, and it's not just the food, folks. It's the weather. He actually states it as a fact that genius requires dry air and pure skies. And isn't it just so convenient that he happened to live somewhere he considered damp and cloudy? It's the perfect excuse. Oh, I'd write something brilliant today, but it looks like rain. What a moron.
Okay, now that he's established the proper diet for genius, let's get to the main event. Nietzsche on the subject of Nietzsche. This is where the book just launches into orbit. We go from simple arrogance to a full-blown fireworks display of self-love. It's really something to behold.
He's talking about his book, Thus Spake Zarathustra. And yes, you heard that correctly. Not one of the greatest gifts, the greatest gift. Ever. In all of human history. You're welcome, everybody. Don't say old Friedrich Nietzsche never got you anything.
Oh, but wait, there's more. It's not just the greatest gift, it's also the highest book and the deepest book. It comes from a well of inspiration so profound that every bucket comes up filled with gold and goodness. You'd think he was describing some holy relic, not a book of philosophy that almost nobody could make heads or tails of.
And speaking of people making heads or tails of it, how did mankind react to this greatest gift? Well, in its first 5 years, it sold a whopping 60 copies. 60. That's not a literary event. That's what a Girl Scout troop calls a disappointing Saturday. The high priest of the obvious, right here, seems to have missed that little detail.
This might be my favorite line in the whole thing. See, you can't just read his books. No, that's for the common folk. To even hold one is a rare distinction. And he just takes it for granted that you'll take your shoes off first. Your boots too. What else, Freddy? Do I need to light some candles? Do I have to chant something? This void-brained pseudo, I swear.
Seriously, just buzz off, you silly goose.
So if Nietzsche is this brilliant, destiny-altering Superman, what is everyone else? Well, don't worry, he's got us all figured out. Let's open up his personal burn book and see how he categorizes the rest of humanity.
See? It's pretty simple. On one side, you've got him. He's a destiny. He's warlike. He's the Antichrist. Then on the other side, you've got everyone else. We're the rabble, the swine, decadents, and of course those awful, gassy Germans. He calls himself Dionysian, which is his fancy way of saying he's all about passion and instinct. Unlike us swine who bother with things like reason and not having a meltdown over the soup course.
And hey, don't think for a second that being his friend gets you off the hook. He goes on and on about his big friendship with the composer Richard Wagner, only to end up feeling sorry for him. Why? Because Wagner's music was appreciated by Germans. He literally says it would have been better if Wagner had been liked by swine instead. With friends like this guy, who needs enemies?
He even takes swings at the all-time greats. Socrates, the father of Western philosophy? According to Freddie, he was just the original, typical decadent. He saw Socrates as the guy who came along and ruined everything with all this reason and logic, killing all the fun, passionate stuff. Basically, he calls Socrates the original, life-hating piss clown.
So, after all that, what are we supposed to make of this crack-brained dullard and his book-length ode to himself? Is this guy a true visionary, paving the way for a new kind of human? Or is he just a dude who really, really needed someone to tell him to calm down and eat his vegetables?
See, this is how he justifies the whole book. He says he's about to drop a truth bomb so huge on the world that he has to introduce himself first. Otherwise, our tiny little brains might just short-circuit. So he's not bragging, you see. He's doing us a favor. What a guy.
And that's really the question he leaves us with, isn't it? Is this the profound genius who saw a world without gods and tried to figure out what comes next? Is this a man descending into the madness that would claim the last years of his life? Or is he just the world's most influential and most completely insufferable cheeseblock?
Honestly, who has the time to figure it out? That's it for me, Uncle Bob. My advice? Go read a book that doesn't think you're a crusty bozo for having the nerve to wear boots indoors. I'll see you next time.